Welcome back to Fuck This. I'm ready to be a TV star now. I'm so excited about these videos. I've gotten amazing feedback from folks. This is the third and final video of 3 before the amazing on-camera cast class. It's going to happen this Sunday at 2 p.m. So I want to review briefly what we looked at last class. So we've been talking about how do you do the audition that gets the job, right? You can always go in and do a good audition on camera, you know. But what is the difference between a good audition? You went in, you were emotionally related to the given circumstances, you were really listening and responding. Great. It's a good audition. The director said, nice work. You knew you did nice work. The casting director said, nice work. You didn't get a call back. And then you watch a TV show, and the person who got the job is very similar in temperament to you. What did they do that you didn't do? Right? And this isn't a comparison test. What this is a fine-tuning of your on-camera skills. What does the person do who gets the job? And what we talked about in the last video was they really keyed in to the specifics of that character's personality and how important that is. And I talked about my rising sign technique, right? What are the set of characteristics that this person has, this particular character? How do they get what they want? And really getting specific. Are they the mama bear nurturer? Line by line, do they use the argument to push someone into a corner? Do they stroke the person? And really getting specific. People tend to make general acting choices as if they're like my auntie. Okay, great, that could be anybody's auntie. You really got to get in there and create a psychological portrait, because what the camera is looking for is the psychology of the character. They're not looking for you to memorize lines. They're not looking for you to deliver a line with the perfect acting choice. They're looking for you to actually psychologically be thinking like this person and feeling and moving like a very complicated person. This is not necessarily on the page, but it's what the actor brings to the role. So the last video, I talked in detail about how to move through that rising sign technique to really map out what that person's set of strategies are, that character's set of strategies are to get what they want. It was very exciting. It got a little woo-woo. I talked a little bit about astrology. So if you'd like to see that video, you can sign up for this entire 3-video series at thedreamunlocked.com. So, going along this vein of the things that I'm going to talk about in this on-camera class, and I'm setting it up with these videos, is that the final piece is, so we talked about listening and responding and how to work with the camera in the first video. We talked about how to get a psychological analysis of the character to really make them specific and complicated and unique, which is what the person who got the job did, right? And then the third piece is really understanding the writing and the tone of the show. I cannot emphasize this enough. And I had a coaching with a client yesterday, and we were working on insecure sides. And it dawned on me what it is about tone. Because what generally happens in on-camera auditions, and I will say particularly for actors of color, is that we get to play the same 5 different characters all the time. The ghetto mother worried about her child, the crackhead, the cop with an attitude, the person who works in customer service of some sort that has an attitude. That's basically what we get called into play all the time. The noble, dark-skinned black savage man, right? Helping the white guy, right? It's such a limited world of things that we've been asked to play for so long that when we're asked to play something more complicated, we're like, oh, there's more stuff that I need to do. And now we're at a time in the world where people of color and women are writing and making their own work. They are creating a tone and a language that is unique to them. So for the first time, we get to look at shows and characters and really analyze that character, not because of the color of their skin, but because something complicated and unique is going on with them. And they're not just black girl number 6 or blonde girl number 4. There's actually real stuff going on in the characters and girls. We've never seen those characters before, right? In Insecure, we've never seen those characters before. And what I realized in coaching this client is that most actors go in and try and play themselves. And they completely ignore the tone of the show, right? Insecure is a wonderful example. Master of None is another wonderful example of an artist who created their own form and their own voice, right? We would all like to say, oh, when I look at Shonda, I was like, wow, every black girl can play that role. No, every black girl can't, right? In Shonda's writing. The women on Private Practice, the women on Grey's Anatomy, the women on How to Get Away with Murder are very specific. We've never seen them before. Part of the specificity is in how they're drawn, but the other part of it is how that writer understands language and their tone and how they construct character. Shonda Rhimes' characters are as specific as Sorkin's character on Broadcast News or West Wing, or The Girlfriend Experience, right, by Soderbergh. Each of those writers, Soderbergh, Sorkin, Shonda Rhimes, Issa Rae, Lena Dunham, they all have a very specific voice that if you don't capture that voice in the audition, you're off kilter. You don't feel like you're a part of that world. Let's take an example. Insecure. What makes those women unique? How are they different from the women on Girlfriends? How are they different from the folks on Blackish? How are they different from the Monique show? How are they different? If you don't capture that difference, you're just playing yourself and you're not going to do the audition that gets the job. When you understand what it is that that writer is saying and doing, and you bring that to the role, when you illuminate the writer's voice the way they wrote it, instead of coming in going, well, what I think and what I feel in me, being me, is more important than what the writer wrote, that's who's not going to book the job. The writer wrote a world that was specific to them. Just like August Wilson wrote worlds that were specific to his world. There's a specific kind of acting that you do to make August Wilson sing. The same is true of television and film. Sure, there's lots of people who do August Wilson plays. Great, that's nice. But then you go and see a play directed by Ruben Santiago Hudson, and for the first time you go, oh, that's what August Wilson means. I did not hear August Wilson's voice until I saw plays directed by Ruben Santiago Hudson. And it's because in his direction, in the tone and the style of the acting, he is committed to the technique and the voice of August Wilson. Hence the plays sing in a very different way. They are moving, they wipe you out. I never knew Gem of the Ocean was a love story until I saw Ruben Santiago Hudson's direction of it. I never heard The Piano Lesson until I saw Ruben Santiago Hudson's direction of it, right? Insecure is so compelling and unlike anything we have ever seen because Issa Rae's voice is unique. Let's talk about what that voice is. They're like, oh, well, she's just a black girl from the ghetto. I don't believe either one of those girls are from the ghetto. I don't believe either one of those actresses are from the ghetto. I believe that they are from middle class, very educated black families. They come from privilege. They were raised to understand, I will make it. At no point in my life am I not going to make it. That is a unique black character that we have never seen before. Privileged, right? Just because someone uses the vernacular doesn't mean that they aren't educated, right? And we talk about this code switching all the time. You're only code switching in language if you truly speak 2 or 3 languages. If the vernacular is the only language that you know and are capable of using, then you're not code switching. You can only speak 1 language. Code switching implies that you're making a choice and you're multilingual. The characters on Insecure are multilingual. They use the vernacular like a razor sharp part of their intellect to get what they want. Every line that is spoken to beat the other person and to win. Every line that is spoken, they have tracked the argument that they're going to make and their opponent's response like a chess game, and they've hit them 4 steps ahead of it. Their idea of how they create an argument, how they fight, how they get what they want is so smart using the vernacular, right? That they corner each other, right? They anticipate their opponent's next move in the way they argue, in the way they get what they want. It's a very intellectual show. Don't get it twisted because people say I'm motherfucker all the time. I use motherfucker all the time. I'm very smart. I use motherfucker to effect. I don't use motherfucker because I don't know how to create an argument any other way. right? And her characters on Insecure expect to win. They expect to figure out a way to win. And they bitch and moan when they haven't figured out that way. But at no point did they ever believe they were not going to be successful. That's a very different character. There's no doom and gloom. I'm from the ghetto. There ain't no way out. Right? Ultimately, the problem is if you're not getting what you want, you're insecure. It's internal. Turn around and look inside. There may be a lot of bitching and moaning, but the bitching and moaning is part of their process of figuring out, how am I going to get what I want? Because I always get what I want. Look at me. I get what I want. I get the guy. I get the job. I get the weave. I get the mani-pedi. I get it all. Right? And ultimately, if I'm not getting something, it must be me. Let me look at that. That's a new way. It's a full responsibility for the world that you create. It's not a world in which you're looking to compare yourself to white people. It's not a world in which you're looking to down yourself because of your weight or your size. It's a world in which you are figuring out how to be the most successful version of you. They expect to win. I don't know how to say that any other way. And they are very, very smart. If you ever listen to Shonda Rhimes speak, you have the same thing. And I was like, wow, this is a generation of black people who have made it. And they are writing stories about other black people for whom making it is a given. It's a new world. So unless you go into that audition playing that world, what is it to come from a very well-educated, privileged world in which people write checks for their kid to go to college, to Dartmouth? Because that's the world Shonda Rhimes is from. Her parents wrote checks for her to go to Dartmouth. That's the world of Insecure. The storyline might be to that girl from the ghetto. I don't believe either one of them are from the ghetto. They don't have any of the isms, any of the self-reprobation. I'm from the ghetto. I know what that looks like. That constantly expecting to fail, so I have to overachieve. Right? Right? What is it to come from privilege and operate from failure is not an option? That is understanding the world that you're working in. And when you capture that in an audition, that's the person who gets the role, right? Issa had been looking for a long time for a character to cast as Molly. She had been following this actress and following her work as a stand-up comedian. They're both from middle-class Nigerian American families. Very different experience. Very different. An immigrant experience, a middle-class, uber-educated immigrant experience. It's a different tone. In my family, I have West Indian people who are like, Black Americans don't work hard enough. And I'm like, well, I'm half Black American and half Latin. What are you talking about? That's messed up, auntie. Be quiet. But that is a West Indian kind of point of view, right? The Cuban part of my family is, Black Americans don't work enough. Black Americans are like, West Indian people and Caribbean people and Latin people are too stuck up. Like, it's all of these isms that people come from, right? And as I move from world to world in my family, I adjust to those worlds. It's probably why I ended up being an actor, because I learned how to adapt to the world in which I was entering. That's what you have to do now. And it's an amazing gift that we're given as actors now. We don't have to be black girl number 6. We can be a specific black girl, right? With specific sets of problems, with specific sets of fears, with specific kind of language that we use like a weapon. Not just because we code switching. We're using it to get what we want, right? The sentence structure is highly intellectual, even if somebody's rapping. Right? It's rap elevated. It's what I call a different version of African American standard speech. It's brilliant. That's what I mean by capturing the tone of the show. In the same way that if you were going in for a West Wing audition, specific tone of the show. House of Cards, specific tone of the show. Look at the writing. Understand where the characters are from. And your first key is to understand where the writers are from, because they're going to write from their perspective. They're going to write about a world that they understand, and they're going to create characters from that place. This is all I have. Now tomorrow, I'm going to send out an email. So if you're not on my mailing list, you're not going to get to register for Sunday's free on-camera class. In that email, I'm going to ask you 3 questions about the 3 videos that you've seen. I will do a replay of all 3 of these videos. For the people on my mailing list. So if you're on my mailing list, you will be in trouble. Okay. So the thing to do now would be to go to thedreamunlocked.com, sign up. We'll send you the videos. When the email comes out tomorrow, those 3 questions, the first 5 people that answer the questions correctly will have a spot in Sunday's class and get free on-camera coaching. Free. And that costs $300 an hour. Free. All you gotta do is listen to the videos. This is what I have. All right? Now, watch videos, go watch some shows, establish some tone, and send me some questions. Love you. Mean it. Bye-bye.